So we're back with the Nursery Chronicles, and I need to do a new project today, which is going to involve taking my router and not allowing it to be in this room because it's taking up too much space, and when the door's closed in here, we can't have Wi-Fi in some parts of our house. So I need to put it in our crawl space. Unfortunately, we don't have a basement, but what I'm thinking is I'm going to take this wire, put it down into that corner, into the crawl space, and then shoot it over. That way I can make the router more central to the house, giving it a little bit more even distribution throughout, and that way I can close this door and not have to worry about having any sort of connection issues. So I've already got an outlet down in the basement, and I'm going to be using this one that I had laying around in my garage, and I've also got this 12-2 Romex wire that I had laying around. It's probably about like 10 feet, maybe not even. It's going to make it a little more central to the house, but the way I'm going to do this is allow it so that way I can extend it in the future if I want it to be further, or if I want to move it towards the back of the house so that way I can have Wi-Fi outside. I can do that easily. The only thing I'm going to have to change is the length of the wire and the location of the outlet. But for now, I'm just doing this one on the cheap so I can get it done and over with and not have to worry about it so I can move forward with the nursery. But there is something that I need to change before I even start doing any sort of electric on this, and that is going to be over in the electric panel. Now, when I was doing this renovation, I did rewire the whole house, but I did overlook one small thing, and I have this one, which is the spare for my basement. It's currently running a dehumidifier down there, and honestly, it's not really taking up a whole lot of amperage, but my wire here is a 12-2, so that means it can take a 20 amp breaker. So I need to change this 15 out with a 20. This 15 amp being here on the 12-2 is not a problem, just due to the fact that this one is rated for more. Where it would be a problem is if I were to change this to a 20, and if this were a 14-2 wire, which is the white wire, that would not be able to hold that draw, and it could potentially cause a fire. So if you're doing a project like this that involves changing anything in the electric panel, make sure you know what you're doing, because you do not want your house to burn down. And if you don't feel comfortable doing it, just call an electrician. They're not going to charge you too much to swap that breaker out if it does have the ability to, or if they need to, they can just install the new line to wherever you're going. But I've got my breaker here, so I'm going to install that real quick. So the first thing you're going to want to do with this is make sure that the breaker is flipped off, because if it's on, there is going to be power running through this wire, and if you touch that screw, it will electrocute you, and you don't want that, obviously. So we cut the power to it, pull the wire, and it's just as simple as unscrewing the terminal, pull the wire out, and now we are set. In most breakers, they attach on the left side under the bar, and then on the right side it just pulls out. So you just pull it, and it's as simple as that. And then we'll take that one out and replace it with our new 20 amp, which will just hook in from the bottom side and attach on that bus bar, which this breaker was on, so I'm going to turn it off. And then we will switch this out and loosen the terminal, and then just throw the wire back in there and power it back up. Nice and easy. When you're tightening down on these, I've always been taught to go as tight as you can, and then once you're at that tightness point, just go another quarter turn, and then you're good to flip it back on, and it's a good breaker, so we are all set there. So I like to start on the top ones just to give it a little bit of structure so it doesn't fly around or anything while I'm trying to put the lower ones in. Some of these can be pretty annoying to put on, because if someone cross-threaded it, it's just going to be a hindrance and annoyance for you. But in my case, they're all good, because whoever's worked on this panel has known what they were doing. That's lined up on the inside, and we are, so good there. That one tight, and then just put the last two in, you're all set. Next on the list, I'm back outside looking for a drill bit that is going to be big enough for the wire to slip through the molding, but small enough that it is not going to make too big of a hole. And I am striking out so far. So these big ones, 1 inch, about a 3/4. Here we go. Alright, that one should be good. I'm just using a paddle bit with, looking like this one's a 1/2 inch size. That should be plenty large enough for this. Next thing we're going to do is drill down into this corner down here and hope and pray that there's not a stud right in that corner, and let's see how it goes. Essentially what I'm doing is taking this wire and running it down into the crawl space, and it looks like the 1/2 inch hole is going to be plenty big enough for that to get shoved down in there. Feel like I hit a stud, but I don't know. Let's shove this down and see if we can go all the way through or not. And we're in. So yeah, now I'm just going to shove as much of it down as I can, and then we'll go down in the basement and find it. Alright, so this is what we came up with, and all I did was take the AT&T wire and shove it down into the corner. Now, why did I do it into the corner here? Now, the main reason I shoved it down into that corner is because if I ever needed to change anything or change the location of that little hub for where the AT&T comes into the house, then I have the ability to just wood fill that section and then just be able to paint back over it, and it looks like it was never there. But if I were to drill through the floor and through the laminate and the hardwood underneath it, then if someone were to ever go try and refinish it or keep that corner open, they'd have a really ugly spot down there that they'd be able to see unless they covered it up with something or caulked it. So this position that I put it in is just way more repairable than any of the other factors. And when you're doing projects like this, it's always worth keeping future you in mind, because you don't want that headache of potentially making your life harder when it comes time to do another project around something that you already worked on. Now the fun part, getting all of this crap down into the crawl space that's only 4 feet tall. This dang dog about gave me a heart attack. I came back outside and she wasn't there. Turns out she wanted to go take a quick stroll on our regular walking path, but luckily she's really good off leash, so she came right back to me when I yelled for her. All right, now for the not so fun part, getting down into this here crawl space. Love coming down here. It's not that bad, but it still kind of sucks. All right, let's get to it. You're not gonna be able to see anything from there if I don't grab you. So, pull you back over this way. See if we can find our wire dangling anywhere, which honestly I can't really see yet. I'm gonna change this light bulb real fast. So this is actually working out a little better than I thought it would. So I've got my spare outlet right there, and the AT&T wire is coming through here. Essentially what I'm going to do is just run that wire further down this way and just get it as central to the house as I can, I guess. It's going to be a super easy process, which I'm super thankful for. Alright, so I'm at a little bit of a loss. I thought I shut my spare outlet off, which theoretically both of the spares that I have wired in the panel are off, so that shouldn't be an issue. But it's actually live right now, so I'm gonna try and see what's going on with that. But that's why you always test your outlets before you do any work to them, because you don't want to get shocked even if you thought you had it turned off. So this one's gonna be kind of a pain in the ass trying to figure out if I got it off or not, because I'm just gonna have to keep crawling through this stupid area. Wish this house had a basement. Oh man, I spent days down here when I was doing my renovation. Honestly, it was probably weeks rewiring and replumbing this whole dang house. Nope, it was on. I don't know why I flipped it on, that should solve our problem now. All I'm doing is taking my voltage tester, putting it on the hot lead of the outlet. It's not on, but like those ones are, so it would beep if it were on. So now I'm gonna do is disassemble this outlet and then run another wire into there and just extend off of it. Pretty easy process, just matching colors. I'm not gonna make a tutorial on that. There's a lot more qualified people than me to do so. One thing I will say is, if you're doing outlets, use a drill. It moves so much faster. Alright, what do we got? We got outlets. So I'm gonna need some wire nuts, which is why I should have brought my whole electric box down with me, but I was lazy and trying to save time, so I didn't do that. But I guess just another trip in and out of here. I'm also going to need a little bit of a wire extension so I can add onto those. Shoot, maybe this is going to turn into a how-to video. Alright, I'm just going to disassemble this while I'm down here just so I don't have any unforeseens. And then I guess get this completely ready for the wire to go in, and maybe I'll set up that other one because I already know I need screws to mount the box for the other one. So we're just going to run that through the same hole. Give ourselves about 8 inches or so hanging down. And then that should be good enough for tucking back and up and in there. So now what I'm going to do is just essentially strap the wire up until I get close to where I want the final product to be, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I think I'm going to do it right around this duct, probably right above it. I've got plenty of wire to reach myself in there, and I don't think I can go much further than that, so I'm just going to put the outlet right there and then build a little bracket so that way the router has something to sit on. So that's what we ended up with as far as another outlet goes, and then I'm going to build a shelf right here to tuck the router. So I need to go cut 2 pieces of wood real quick, and then I can screw that in and get that all set up, and then we'll be done. Also, while you're in your basement or crawl space, take the time and change your air filter. You gotta do this once every month. Once every month if you got bad allergies. Once every 3 months if you're pretty regular. But basically, just make sure the arrow's pointing the right way when you shove it in. And then an easy way to tell is the arrow usually points towards the furnace. So my furnace is on the ground over here, and I always have the arrow going to it because what it's doing with where the filter is sucking the air from inside the house down and back through the furnace so it can heat it up and then send it back into the house. So that's just a little pro tip there. Hopefully you'll be able to see me doing this process of building the actual stand for this. I know it's going to be a little tight. I cut these a little short, but it looks like they're actually going to fit. So all I'm going to do is secure boards crossing that, so that way I can set the router on it without having any sort of issues. So that's going to be a pretty easy process. It's just throwing a screw in on each side of this. Honestly, I'm not doing any measuring. Chances are in the next year I'm going to be moving this thing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. There we go. All right, we're all plugged in. Looks like our router's got power. So I'm gonna let it boot up for a second, see what I get from it, and then go upstairs and hopefully we got some Wi-Fi easily accessible from the whole house. So I hope this video helped you if you were just trying to do some electrical relocation, or if you were trying to do any sort of, I guess, router relocation. Not a professional electrician or any sort of internet expert, but I know enough to be dangerous. So hopefully that helped. If it did and you want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe to my channel, because I do a lot of DIY stuff and help people get better and increase their skills, just so that way they can do the same, help other people who are in need, who might not be able to do this kind of thing themselves. But yeah, definitely subscribe if you like this type of stuff. I'm going to be putting out videos as I work on my house over the years. Right now, this is kind of prepping for the nursery for our kid on our way. But as we start to finish that up, we're going to have more and more projects that are going to be popping up that I need to do. Like, I want to build the sauna outside. I want to put up a garage in my backyard if I do decide to stay here for a few more years. I have to redo the whole deck that's on the back side of my house. There's just a lot of stuff that's up and coming. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to keep an eye on. And realistically, I'm probably going to record it either way, just due to the fact that it'll be really fun to look back on as I grow older, just see the different projects that I've done, and be able to show people everything that's been accomplished over the years. So I'm going to leave the video there. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.